Hello everybody out there and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review. Before we get into the review, three things really quickly. Number one, this review is a week late. We apologize, lots of stuff going on towards the end of this week. Plus we had a lot of reading to do and it took a little bit of extra time because of several different reasons. Number two, the weekly comic book haul should be up tomorrow for the books that came out this past Wednesday. We're going to try to get those books read and ready for a review Monday or Wednesday. Tuesday obviously is Frontline Live, so we don't do any video recordings for Tuesday. Speaking of Comic Frontline, the Dark Avenger haul should be recorded tomorrow as well and will be going up on Comic Frontline. We're still waiting for a few mystery boxes. Anything else will be mentioned on the weekly comic book haul tomorrow. I just want to give you guys a quickie update on why things are a little bit late this week. It's just everything's kind of been pushed over, but we'll be catching up soon. And with that, Mike. Oh, that was the third. The two hauls with number two. Number three, episode 340. We will be back at our default location, which is our kitchen, back at the table with the nice background and everything. So I believe that's about three episodes from now. The episode numbers left my mind for the moment, but at 340 we'll be back in the kitchen in our default location for reviews. So I'm looking forward to that. And Mike will be back in front of the camera doing digital and physical. But beside the point, right now Mike is behind the camera because the books in this review were released on
April 20th, 2016.
And he's going to be doing the digital books first.
So let's get this started. Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 10, Issue 26.
I enjoyed this issue a lot. I liked Xander and Dawn being trapped in this other realm, and at first things look really, really bad, and then they end up making friends with these characters that you think they're going to be enemies with at first, but then they end up being friends. Xander becomes this leader of this demon group, and they create houses and stuff because there's acid rain, and you start to see Dawn is starting to fall for Xander again. I guess she's starting to realize what she felt for him before she forgot. And back on Earth, Buffy's trying to find a way to get into that realm. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but Buffy's trying to find a way. She's threatening people. She's going absolutely crazy. One thing I don't like is Buffy has snapped at her friends a lot this season. She's snapped at Giles several times. She snapped at Willow several times. And I have to wonder how many more times Buffy can snap at her friends and they don't eventually get up and leave. Especially, what's her name? Willow, because Willow's girlfriend actually said sometimes friends grow apart. So hopefully we won't be seeing that. I mean, we know we're getting season 11 for Buffy. I don't know about Angel and Faith yet, but hopefully we don't see Willow end up leaving Buffy because of argument. And also at the end we find out about, I forgot what his name is, but the guy that we knew was going to turn evil and try to steal the Vampirix ends up stealing it. Now it's going to be up to Buffy to get it back.
Chew Demon Chicken Poyo, number 1.
This is a fun one-shot. If you like Poyo, if you like these random... Basically, if you do something bad, Poyo's going to get you. That's basically the whole theme of this book with really funny artwork. You got Santa, a guy that played Santa in there, Hitler. It's so funny. If you are a fan of Poyo, you will definitely want to read this book. I mean, there's really not much else to say except it's a fun side story. If you are just into the Chew story... Do you need it? No, but it was still fun if you like Chicken Poyo. I like this one. Special Agent Poyo, not Chicken Poyo. But it was really good.
Huck issue number 6.
This ended the story really well. I definitely want to get the trade paperback of this to own a physical copy of this first story arc, or maybe only story arc. Huck and his mother escape. And we find out that the guy that was playing his brother was a robot. And Huck beats the crap out of the robot. And there's another female robot that he beats the crap out of as well. And they leave. And they confront the scientist. And they basically say, and Huck says, leave us alone. Never come for my mother again, or else there's going to be issues. And the guy's like, go ahead, but I'll track you down again. I have files all over the world in these computers. And she's like, she has the ability to make people do anything she says. So she tells him to have it erased and how it can be erased, and he does it, and then he says, I'll still find you because I have it all up here in my brain. And then she does the one thing that really was awesome. She says, forget science. And he completely, they just left it at that because now the guy's completely an idiot. We go back. Huck is now back in his hometown. The mom's obviously living with him now. She's moving in. And Huck opens up a help service. Basically, anybody who needs help can come to him. And the town's like, isn't that a bad thing? I mean, ever since you've been found out, don't you think people are going to take advantage of you? He's like, well, and the mother's like, no, we're encouraging people to come and ask us for help. And he actually, I loved how they ended it. He goes across the street to Miss Davis and gives her flowers and says, no hard feelings. The end of the story. That's the woman that outed him to the press. That was awesome. This was a really great story. I really, really look forward to another volume if we get it from Huck. Huck was a really fun first volume, or only volume.
Godzilla Oblivion, issue number 2.
Another really great book. So, Ghidorah, if I said his name right, King Ghidorah is now on Earth. And there's no way to stop him because there's no other kaijus in this Earth. So, the government forces the scientists to go back into the other dimension, Godzilla's dimension, and find a way to bring King Ghidorah back, or send him back through the portal. And what do you think they do? This is called Godzilla Oblivion. They come up with a really bad plan. They bring Godzilla through the portal. They go get him. They catch his attention and they let him chase them right through the portal. And now Godzilla is in the realm with no kaijus with King Ghidorah, and now we're going to have a good old-fashioned kaiju fight. And I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully they'll find a way to... I guess they'll fight for a bit and then they'll kind of find a way to send them back through the teleporter. I don't know. I mean, I doubt that all the kaijus are going to come through the teleporter. So it's going to be really interesting. I loved it. It was great to see Godzilla. I told you guys after the first issue we're going to be seeing a lot of Godzilla, and we got to see a lot of Godzilla in this issue. And I liked it. This was an excellent issue. It's definitely setting up to feel like Godzilla Rulers of Earth, which I really enjoyed as well.
Back to the Future, issue 7.
Doc can't remember a thing. And he mentions the Men in Black, I believe, which is kind of funny because we as readers, we know the Men in Black with the alien thing. So apparently maybe there are time ages or anything, but he forgets everything. He forgets who, Marty is, what, anything. All he knows is who he is. So now, and he even forgets that he's a scientist. So now they have to find a way to travel back in time. They have the DeLorean, but it doesn't travel back in time. So they go and find the time machine that the Doc came to 1986 with, 85 or 86 with, and it was a crazy little adventure in this issue. And then it ends with them at the junkyard, and now in order to save the time machine that Doc invented, Marty might have to race Needles. For those of you that don't know who Needles is, it's a character that was introduced in Back to the Future 3, and he races. Needles wants to have a race at the end, and Marty doesn't do it because he gave up on being called chicken or whatever. So, really, this was a nice issue. It was a nice read.
Alright, now it's my turn. Insufferable on the Road, issue number 3.
That came out last week,
yeah.
or 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I finally caught up on this read. Basically, just to make this short, Galahad just tries to get out of the treehouse, which it works. But then there was someone who shoots him on the head, which I thought was really, really shocking. And then Nocturus finds out who the killer of Randall is, and the reason why he killed Randall was because he was talking about his family, and he felt very offensive about it, so that boiled up inside of him so that he killed him, put him in the cooler. Remember at that party when they found him? He did it quietly so that way they wouldn't know it was him.
Oh, wow.
And in the end, he wants to shoot himself, and he's saying, I'm not gonna. Nocturnus trying to convince him. Doesn't look like he's gonna be convincing enough. So that was the issue. I can't wait to see the next one. I've been waiting for this. Savage Dragon, issue number 213. Okay. Now, remember when I said that the baby was born and when he did the All My thing? Okay. It's a baby girl. Normal and everything, has the mother's feature, and I think Angel's really jealous of him, with having the baby and everything. But here's the funny part. She transforms into the dragon to look like Malcolm. Actually, which is funny, really. Also, we get Jerry, I think his name is, who is Malcolm's other son, who is going to be joining some other teams because of saying, the Savage Dragon family is all this and that, you should get your revenge and stuff like that. And you could definitely read the book. But Malcolm goes through so much drama of what's going on with everything and even getting duty calls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really something. I really enjoyed this book. It gives you that uppity moment, like saying, okay, I gotta know what happens next. Because his son and that girl were in the hospital. And he's gone to do duty. To be continued. Escape from Monster Island issue number 3 of 6. Now, this is really just trying to set up of saying, like, okay, we're going to get this cure for the doctor. But it's not going to be, you know, just for that. We're doing this for humanity itself. So they're talking about going through certain monsters, and it's basically giving that setup point, like saying, okay, we know you want to go through the Cyclops thing, and there are different types of monsters that they run into. It was really a weird book, and also someone else returns in this book. I won't say who, unless they've read it already, that did not die, or that they thought that did die. He comes back, and I thought that was awesome. Next Zenoscope book is Hellchild, issue number 2 of 5. We get a little bit more of the backstory of Angelica, and we get how Marilyn tries to get in her mind just to like clean it, but we get a little bit more about Hades' side, about how her relationships weren't working out so well because Hades was like overprotective much of her, but it was mostly looking out for her and everything, and she doesn't know that. Throughout the whole story, she tries to progress to get better, but in the end it gets a lot worse. The way she looks in the end. So, what a look for Angelica. And lots of other stuff happened that I want you guys to read. Big Trouble in Little China, issue number 23. This book is starting to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. I am starting not to like this book. It is, first of all, less about Jack Burden now. It talks about this sidekick girl. Ever since then, she's been the whole focal point of this whole story. And this child, whatever the Emperor's name is, they're focusing on him and how he wants to take over the world and everything, make everyone like him. Like, we haven't heard this story before. And he wants to get Jack Byrne out of the picture so that way he doesn't stop him from doing that. To be honest, I was falling asleep kind of while reading this book. It's starting to dwindle. And if it starts to dwindle, I'm going to start dropping it. Because I can't with this book. Bloodshot Reborn, issue number 12. The team-up of Bloodshot and Ninjak. Ninjak's been teaming up with a lot of people, actually, in Valiant. And it's basically them going up against the Shadows. Bloodshot finds out the leader of the Shadows, like saying, you destroyed my village and my wife. I want to know, along with going back to Bloodshot's origin, you know, when he was with his wife, Magic. Like saying, who did it? And the only thing he said, the man in the tower. And as he's trying to know what man the tower is, he's like saying, you know what? Him and Ninjak are going to go there and see who that man of the tower is. And that's a huge, huge cliffhanger for that story. And I'm really liking that. Divinity II, issue number 1. Straight up story. She's an orphan. And they called her Myoska, I think in Russian. That means mouse or something. Well, basically because she was, you know, homeless and everything. So the secret agent takes her in to do a mission in space. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. And she was known as a codename, Muska, or however you say it. And the funny thing in the end, she meets up with the Russian president, Putin. He's actually in the story, no joke. Where they have a mission for her. And we're going to find out what the next mission is going to be in the next story.
Oh, nice.
I mean, if you want to find out more about her character, up to you if you want to read the book. Because it was pretty interesting. Another Ninjak team-up, Exo Manowar, issue number 46. Arak is going back to his homeland to try to stop Trill, Commander Trill, from taking over the people. So he goes there saying, you know, you got to stop this because you don't want me to fight me again because it's going to end out, you know, to be me winning against you. And then he's just saying no because I'm going to take over. And with him trying to try to think about this, they just start throwing punches with each other, and Arak, being the superior one, is getting him. But now there's something else, bigger problems that are on the coming to the homeland where they have to team up, probably, to try and stop this. So I forgot what they were called. I mentioned it on the Comic Frontline review. Tomb Raider issue number 3. Still on that search about the mushroom thing. And really that's what the whole base of the book is. Like, they're just trying to find out the mushroom and everything. And then Lara Croft is in big trouble where she's suffocating underwater. And we don't know if that's going to affect the mission or anything because there's this other person with him. I forgot what his name was. And that's to be continued in the next story. It really took me like less than 10 minutes to read the book, to be very honest. Alright, now we'll go into the big 2. Starting with you of Robin, Son of Batman, issue number 11.
Alright, Batman's back now, as we all know, since Batman and Robin Eternal ended. This issue, we find out that Talia took Maya because she believed Maya was working with the prince that's in this issue, who's been taking all the stuff that Damian's been bringing back and basically wanting to become the ruler of Earth through all of this stuff. And it becomes a big fight between Robin and this guy, and Talia's there with Maya, and Talia jumps into the fight with the League of Assassins. Batman finds out about what's going on, and Batman shows up. So when they all finally meet up in this big fight, Batman and Talia show up to save their son. And it becomes a 3-way team up. And unfortunately, Maya gets caught up in this mix and ends up trying to stop the person who's fighting against Damian. And they both end up disappearing. Damian knows where he's going, but now he asks his father, Batman, and his mother, Talia, to team up with him and basically to finish this once and for all to save the world. And that's exactly what Talia says. For the world, we'll do this, but only for the world. So Damian's got like his mom and dad back, and it's going to be like this big family team up. And this is a really great way to end this series. The next issue, I believe, is it says the beginning, it begins at the end or something like that. And I'm really excited to see where this last issue goes with Robin. I mean, was this the best Robin series ever? No, I still like the Tim Drake Robin run. But at the same time, this is a really fun series for what it was worth. And it definitely sets the stage for Super Sons, that's for sure.
Titans on issue number 7.
I like this book as well. This book, you've got Diablo trying to kill off all the Titans before Twister ends up taking them and controlling them again. You've got Nightwing, Wonder Girl, and Aqualad who find the tower, and now they're screwed because Twister shows up, but that's the end of the book. Going back to the beginning, you have Red Arrow, I forgot his name. But anyway, Hawk and Dove also fighting these two guys. This father-daughter team from Diablo, who are obviously robots. And mind you, I've only read Teen Titans through the Jeff Johns volume. So if these are characters that were in the original Titans run, I apologize. I'm not familiar with a lot of the characters from the Titans. But anyway, they end up winning in the end, but because it's just this big fight, and it was really good. It was a really good book, and I can't wait to see where issue 8 goes. I believe issue 8 is the final issue, and then we go into the 80-page one-shot from DC Rebirth. So I'm looking forward to that.
Captain Marvel issue number 4.
This was good. So Captain Marvel has the station evacuated because the person who is causing the mischief on the station obviously will not evacuate. So they'll catch the person who is the traitor at some point on the ship, or it'll prove that it's somebody on Alpha Flight or on the main team, which, guess what, something happens in this book. We didn't see that coming. So Carol and Alpha Flight go out to try to stop the ship. They fail, the big ship. Then littler ships show up and they go out and try to fight them. They end up taking not a hostage, but they take a prisoner, and they explain, we're not bad guys, we're not the Kree. The Kree were destroyed, the homeworld was destroyed. We mean you no harm, we're peaceful. And they actually send them back to the main ship to try to, explain to them. They end up blowing up the ship, not believing that it's one of theirs. And then something happens with the space station. And that's where the book ends. This is a really great series. I'm really enjoying Captain Marvel. This volume is definitely a lot of fun to read.
Extraordinary X-Men issue number 9.
Extraordinary. Let me see the cover because I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes. The students in the other dimension. It shows you basically what happened with the students, because when I saw it on the screen, it looked like something completely different. They it showed you all 370 somewhat plus days that they were stuck in that realm and how they had to jump from different realm to different realm because Apocalypse has banned all there's no mutants allowed at all, and basically Earth is just all of these different realms now, and it shows how they survived each and every one. And the most hospitable one, ironically, was the one that was Tony Stark's realm at one time, the Iron one, and they helped the kids out for a little bit of time, and then they ended up having to leave, and it just became a huge battle. And we find out that Colossus ended up getting taken, and he became one of the four horsemen for Apocalypse. And it ended where the last book ended, with the X-Men finding the students and ending up fighting the four horsemen. They start fighting a bit, and basically Colossus states that the X-Men failed and the Earth fell, and mutants and all hail Apocalypse basically. So I'm excited to see where this goes. This is also crossing into the other X-Men books, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all connects.
Guardians of Infinity issue number 5.
This is an honorable mention at best. It's the collector. You know, Guardians of Infinity for me has been on a downward slope. I love Rocket, don't get me wrong, but it takes more than just Rocket Raccoon to save a book. And this book, as much as it's interesting with all the different, like the Guardians 3001 stuff, it's just not holding me. So I think after this story arc, I'll probably end up letting the book go, or it's probably going to become more of a casual read than a review read. But it is a fun book. It's something I would recommend to try out, but not something that's humongous, right home to your mom, you need to be reading this book kind of thing.
Nova issue number 6.
This is a book you guys should be reading. I enjoyed this. So it's Sam versus his evil dad clone, and the other clone that was kind of swayed by Sam is trying to find a way to stop the evil dad clone in order to get his helmet back and stop the Chitauri from wanting to steal Sam's helmet. And I love how in the middle of the book, throughout this whole fight, because that's what this whole book was, the good clone of the father actually says to Sam, "You're holding back. You are literally at half your power. You can do so much more. Do it. Don't be afraid. You can do it." And Sam does, and we see that there's a lot more power behind Sam than anyone, including the Avengers, even knows about. So I'm looking forward to seeing that explored now that this first story arc's over. So anyway, the good dad ends up taking the helmet away from the evil dad clone, and he ends up leaving to stop the Chitauri from basically trying to harass Sam and take his helmet away. He says he'll come back with a report as soon as he has anything. And I'm sure Sam is now... The story's going to go back to Sam finding his real dad again, which I still don't understand where the real father is. That's kind of a plot hole, I guess, for the time being. But we'll find out, I guess, later on.
Obi-Wan and Anakin, issue number 4.
This was a good read. Anakin's hostage now to the open, I believe. Or was it they're the closed? I don't know. There's open and closed. And Obi-Wan is now trying to get Anakin back. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on, but we find out that there was a signal sent for the Jedi, and they wanted to use the Jedi in hopes that to stop the war, basically. And we get a whole background on the story and what really is going on. And it looks like Anakin might be on the wrong side, and now it's going to be up to Obi-Wan to save him. I like this story. For what it is, it's a really nice read. An average read, but a really nice read. And the artwork's great. We get more backstory about Anakin and the Chancellor, so we're starting to see their relationship form, where obviously we know where it's going. But really interesting stuff.
Alright, my turn again. Deadpool, issue number 10. The issue is getting a lot better now. It's really just Deadpool going up against... Sabretooth, and the whole thing about Sabretooth trying to apologize, saying that, I'm sorry for killing your family, what I was before, I've been a changed man now, and Deadpool's like saying, okay, but still I need to kill you, and so they're doing a chasing thing where they're saving people during that chase, but then he goes off, he shakes his hand and everything, but then shoots him in the head. Of course, probably to stun him and stuff like that. Also, Acid makes an appearance in this book. Is Michael's name Doctor Strange? Because the guy who Acid goes to Mia, he looked like his name was Doctor Strange, but he said Michael. I don't know. And they're tracing about Sabretooth, whether he committed a crime back then or not. And then in the end, we see Deadpool tied up Sabretooth between a truck and a tree, and he's going to kill him with some type of chemical and stuff like that. I forgot what it was called. And that's to be continued in the next issue. Unlike the issue of Deadpool, the Mercs for Money, issue number 3, this was my worst book of the week. I could not stand this book. All this book talked about, to just say it in one sentence, they do a bid against who gets the robot that talks about the future. And everything gets a little bit out of control when Doctor Doom comes in, and then when he says more than that. No, this was unnecessary. This was my totally worst book of the week, and after reading this, I don't even know if I want to come back for the next issue.
Whoa.
And that says a lot. And with the DC Rebirth that's coming, you know,
there's gonna be,
a lot
again,
of drops,
guys.
and
I'll
that's
say
one
it
of them.
here on the review. There will be a fair amount of drops with books. With DC Rebirth, we don't know what we're gonna like yet. We don't know what we're not gonna like yet. So with Marvel, if books are below average or low average, we're probably, like Guardians of Infinity for me, we're probably going to let them go. And same thing with DC Rebirth. I don't want you guys to think, oh, we're going to dump all Marvel and just only do DC. DC's first 3 issues, for anything other than Superman, have to impress. Because if they don't, and we find them below average or whatever, those will be dropped as well. And we've already got our expectations on what books we're probably going to let go by issue 3. So if there'll be more with that, we'll have to wait and find out as we read the book.
Okay. Going to something better, Powerman and Ironfist issue number 3. This is where they're trying to find out about what the Super Stone. Oh God, what was that necklace called? The Super Soul Stone. Yeah, the Super Soul Stone. Yeah. So they go to Doctor Strange. He says that he doesn't know what the stone is because he's never heard of it. So they go to Powerman's person, and he tells what it's about. So actually, they did get together as a team, just to let you know. And they meet up with Jenny, who has the Super Soul, and she turned out for the worse in the end. And she's gotten worse as the issue progressed. Silk issue number 7. It just talks about just Silk trying to get through the. I think she's in the 616 universe. I don't remember. Of the portal jump and everything, and what she doesn't go through in this book. I mean, with all the going back in time to go and see her family that thought that they don't want to talk to her because she left them. Because the bad one is actually, she owns her own building. So it's kind of like going like into the future and like seeing like what you did, and you can't rectify it because of what already happened. It's like that sort of thing. You feel bad for her character, and I really did in this issue. But this was a heartfelt issue, by the way, as well. SpiderMan Deadpool issue number 4. It's just, it gets funnier and funnier every time I read this book, because Spider-Man doesn't like Deadpool, but he wants to try and make this whole team thing work out, and that's really all I could say about the book, because like there was just so much to happen in this book. Like I can't remember all of it, but it's a fun read. That's all I could say about the book. I mean, they just team up together, and it's just still that Deadpool wants to kill Peter Parker for everything that's going on, and it's just funny. That's all I have to say about that issue. The Amazing Spider-Man and Silk issue number 7. I thought this was the last issue, but it isn't actually. It's where Uncle Ben, Peter Parker, and Silk, or Cindy, which her name is, try to get the T-Rex back and not to let Hydra get it from them. And we find out that this girl, I don't remember what her name was, she gets reunited with her father, and the father's like saying, you know, I'm sorry that all this happened, it was my fault, and we get into a little bit of his story about why it's his fault and why it happened. And in the end, I love how when Peter Parker and Uncle Ben, they hug each other, you know, because of all this. It really touches me, that issue. So many touch me, it's not even funny. But beside the point, I really enjoyed this issue. Definitely something to read. Martian Manhunter issue number 11. Yes, I know, people, I said I was going to drop this.
But there's only 2 issues left.
That, and the only reason why I read this issue, you just gotta throw in John Constantine and Satana. Good job, DC. You caught my eye for reading this book. But that's really... And you know what the thing is? They only appeared for 2 pages, and then the last page in the end. Because they're trying to make a circle thing to stop this meteor that's hitting Earth that was going to hit Mars. So they're just doing this whole thingamajig, and I think Biscuit died in this issue.
No, the Biscuit's dead.
I know, it's sad, but I don't think he died. I think he might come back in the next issue. I'm not too sure. And the person that's Martian Manhunter finds out that he needs to do what he needs to do. And this is the last one, so let me just zoom out and show this cover and come into frame. Hyperion, issue number 2. I see.
I didn't get to read that this week, so that's
I did. So, what this book is about mainly is...
It's Mike, everyone, a half hour later.
Yes, hello.
See, this is
everybody.
another reason why we're going back to the table, so Mike can just reach up like this and put it in front.
Yeah. But, there's this worm thing that's going around that's killing people, so...
A worm thing, you say?
A worm thing, yes.
A tapeworm?
Well, it's a lot worse.
A ringworm?
Kinda, actually. And it goes in people and kills them. It's disgusting. It almost made me vomit. Beside the point.
Not as bad as the squirrel thing in TMNT.
Beside the point.
Okay, beside the point.
Hyperion and this girl, like, he tries to tell her, you know, I have to leave you off here and I have to do my own things, like saying, oh, but we could be a great team together. Let's solve this mystery. There's this thing that happened at the restaurant. She said that she and Hyperion were gonna do it, and they start working together. And Hyperion does find the person who's behind the whole ring thing. That's a human, and I think that their encounter after it got in Hyperion didn't kill him. They're going to find the next issue.
Wow.
That's really all I could say. So I called it when they were going to work together. Now we go into the physicals.
Right, take a break. Your book's next. Yeah. Invincible 127, it's back. This is the first book I read, so let's pray I remember enough of this book. But basically, Invincible's back. He's back. Oh my god, he's alive. We couldn't believe it. What happened? And then it turns out that he's been gone for several years. And Ryan Otley, I think, took over as the artist again, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Corey Walker took over back for Invincible. And he finds out that he's been away for a while. He apologizes. You know, he's sorry. He didn't know what's, you know... He didn't understand. He had like several breakdowns to the point where his older brother, who apparently ages faster than him, I'll show a picture as soon as I find him. But I think the first one we see is Alan actually wants him to go back into space to find Commander Tarkin, who's been building his army. But the brother's like, dude, you gotta chill, you gotta calm down, and apparently. Oh god, her name left me for the moment. Shoot. Well, whatever her name is, she actually started getting along great. She started her own life on this planet that when we last left her, Adam Eve. When we last left her, she hated it there, but now it's like she's been living there for 5 years, so it's become home for her. And we then find out, and this isn't a huge spoiler, that there was another man. She says there was someone else. Is there someone else, though? I don't know. And then we find out there's a spoiler here that Invincible's brother is working with Commander Tarkin.
Wow, that's a lot to take in after you've been gone. I feel bad for him.
I feel bad for Mark. Everybody grew up
without... What is it when you were feeling bad for
as a father, if I woke up 5 years and Tommy was 5 years older than he was now, and I missed out on 5 years of my son's life, that would kill me. So I can only imagine what Mark's going through.
Okay, one more book for me. Street Fighter Unlimited, issue number 5. And this book was actually really interesting. It talks about 2 different points in this book. I'm just going to show artwork. It talks about Lord Gil, who wants world peace and trying to make everything in the world all good and everything. Whereas Ryu is looking for the new master, Oro. to help him train against fighting against Akuma, and here's some artwork. And Ryu wants to be his pupil, and Oro's like saying, "Oh, I'm not really sure. You're gonna have to show me once." So he has to send him through a certain amount of tests. And as Lord Gil is trying to make the world at peace, Guile, Chun-Li, and Cammy aren't buying it, but Chun-Li saying everyone should deserve a second chance. So I'm not too sure if that's gonna last long. And then there's a second story where it's Oru and Akuma meeting with each other. All works a little different, sort of ish. And it's just Oro just saying, you know, you just have too much of a power, therefore you're not worthy of me training you because you just want to use power for yourself. And I kind of admire Oro's character. Even though he was being a little bit of meh to Ryu in the beginning, I guess I sort of understand his character of where he's coming from to, you know, train him against fighting Akuma. And now I know why he wants to help train him, because the second story says it all. That's all for me. It's all for you.
It's going to be a Superman fest, everybody, except for the book after this. Well, Action Comics 51, Superman finds Supergirl, except Supergirl wasn't being held prisoner. She was there being tested because her powers were giving her the same issues that Clark's were for a time. And we find out that Superman wants Supergirl to be his successor. And we're starting to see other things unfold. One thing unfolds in China. I forgot with like this dragon guy. I forgot what his name was. The Eradicator shows up in the Daily Planet, believing to be Superman, basically saying, "Hey, you know, acting like he's Clark Kent." And when somebody says you're not Clark Kent, he goes all psycho crazy, and it's up. And Lois actually takes him out. Clark kind of leaves Kara, the Fortress of Solitude. So when he's gone, basically Kara's going to continue in his legacy and continue to protect the world, yada yada. And then Wonder Woman shows up and says, "So when were you going to tell me about what was going on?"
Dun, dun.
To be continued in Superman Wonder Woman, which came out this week. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Speaking of Wonder Woman.
But speaking of Wonder Woman 50, Hecate... 51, thank you. 52 will be the end of this. Hecate actually betrayed Wonder Woman and lied to her. Wonder Woman goes to the Tartarus pit, and it turns out it was a big trap. She goes inside, and it turns out her and Hera are stuck in there. She sees, it gives her like dark visions, like Zola and Zeke, about when she was a kid, that she melted because she was apparently at one time believed to have been made of clay. It's dark. This was definitely dark. We get this twisted Superman moment. And there was a really funny page where Superman's like our own child, and it shows her pregnant. But it's all, obviously, it's all a trick. And we find Hera. Hera actually ends up fighting Wonder Woman for a bit because she's like, she doesn't believe that Wonder Woman didn't know what she was doing. She believed that she was betrayed by Wonder Woman, and then when things cooled down, when cooler heads prevailed, they actually escaped using Wonder Woman's lasso. And now the fight's getting taken to Hecate, but it turns out somebody might not be making it out of this Wonder Woman volume alive. To be continued, or concluded, I should say. Meredith Finch's run with Wonder Woman has been amazing. I've been loving it. I'm really going to be sad to see her go, but I hear that there is rumors that she... Well, there's no rumors that she will be doing another book, which I don't believe was announced yet, but I'm hoping that we get the announcement because I love Meredith Finch's writing. Maybe New York
Comic-Con you will.
Hopefully. The only true Superman book anybody should be interested in right now, Lois and Clark, issue number 7. Jonathan's powers come out. It finally comes out that Jonathan's powers are maturing. He's able to save himself and Lois from a burning building without even getting a scratch. Superman is fighting, I believe his name is Blackgate, if I'm not mistaken.
What was Talon?
No, hold on. You're a pretender. BlackRock. And it turns out it's the guy that they hired for an edgy TV show, and Superman gets pissed off and leaves. We find, what's her name? Hylas comes to Earth, and she takes Hank Hansel and gets the relic he had, but there's another piece to it, and we find out later on that other piece is in the Fortress of Solitude. Clark shows up in time to save Lois and Jonathan from Inner Gang. Jonathan is having a very hard time believing, or John I should say, because his name is John. John has a hard time believing that his mother and father lied to him for so long, and how his father's really Superman. They try to explain they're from a different dimension, and how, they did it to protect him as well as themselves. And John kind of has a hard time at first accepting it, and then he starts to kind of accept it. So I like that, it shows that Clark and Lois are definitely raising John to be kind of like Clark. And then Clark gets a vision, and obviously this is all leading into the finale of Lois and Clark, because next issue is the final battle. So I guess Hythus and Clark are going to fight in this last issue, and it's going to be huge. And this has been a great run, and obviously this all leads into Rebirth, where this Superman becomes the Superman.
This looks like a weird Waldo cover.
Sort of, but it isn't. Superman American Alien. This is issue number 6 of 7. I love this issue. So Pete and Clark's other friend, whose name escapes me for the moment, come to visit Clark. And Clark has been very antisocial, and he's showing them around Metropolis, and they feel kind of alien there, and Clark kind of is too preoccupied with everything else to realize that. And, he takes them to Jimmy's exhibit, which, by the way, this is Jimmy Olsen in Max Landish's universe, which kind of took me a little out of the book, because Jimmy's always been that redheaded kid. But beside the point, they go to this event, and Clark was so busy with everything else he didn't realize, his friends kind of just walked off into the background. Pete's kind of a little tipsy and does the whole, Batman, you were flying around with Batman's cape for a time, and Clark's like, the guy's trying to figure me out, and they get into this huge fight about Clark being so too busy being a symbol of hope or whatever, and what he actually expects to accomplish from doing all of his public deeds as Superman. The fight ends with Clark leaving, and he tries to fly off Earth, and he ends up kind of exploding, and he gets saved. We get to see Ben Sur, because apparently Hal Jordan isn't a Green Lantern yet. But Clark hears the word for the first time, Krypton. And after this altercation, he ends up back. Pete and him have this huge apology, and Pete's like, I'm your best friend. I don't want to see you get hurt. I don't want to be helpless and unable to help you, because you're my best friend. And he's like, you're my best friend too, and that's never gonna happen. I'm gonna try my best. And then it just ends with him saying Krypton. So now Clark knows where he's from, but how he gets that information, I guess we'll have to wait and see with issue 7, which I believe issue 7 will be more of Clark, because I like how in this issue Pete's like, you're not Clark anymore. You're not Superman, and you're not Clark Kent. I like how Max Landish is trying to get the two to work together, try to get Clark Kent to be Clark Kent again, as well as having the second life of being Superman. This issue was really great. I'm so excited to see how Max Landis is going to end this entire miniseries. This has been a pleasure ride when it comes to American Alien. And going into Rebirth, I hope at some point they give Max Landis another miniseries for Superman, or even give him Earth 1 Superman Volume 3. That would be 4, and that would be great. I would like that as well. With that, that's it for this review, guys. Yep. So Mike's going behind the camera. Like I said, tomorrow you guys should be seeing the haul video for this channel and Comic Frontline. I'll make a couple of I'll mention a couple of things in the haul video and stuff like that on this channel later. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. Feel free to comment below your thoughts on any of the books we talked about here, recommendations, likes, dislikes, agree or disagree. And as always, Friday at 10:05. We're moving it to 10 o'clock for now. If it's ever a little earlier, there'll be a tweet. Keep an eye on my Twitter. But from right now, 10:05 is when Dark Avenger Live will be going on. So check that out every Friday night. And until then, guys, take care. Keep reading, keep collecting. Links in the description below. Check those sites out at your leisure. And I'll see you guys, or we'll see you guys really soon in the next video.
Hey, everybody.